And the more I think about it, the more I wonder, what are the things that we put off buying because we perceive the cost to be much greater? So we just had formal night tonight on the cruise, and it's funny, they do this red carpet special for getting your hair done, and it reminded me how much trouble I have with buying things for myself. I grew up not being really able to spend a lot of money. It was something that I always had to be very cautious of, and so to pamper myself in that way is very awkward. In this instance, my hair was absolutely filthy. It made a lot of sense because there was all these specials and such, but it made me think about the fact that there's a lot that we can do for ourselves that require spending money, but sometimes it's easier to do that if it's for someone else than it is for ourselves. So whenever my husband, for instance, says that he wants to purchase something or wants to get something for himself or for a hobby or anything like that, I have no problems with that, even though it's coming out of the same pool of money as it would be if I was buying something for myself. But I just struggle with that. And I'm wondering how many people have the same thing, whether it's just me and the way that I grew up and my background. I think there's a lot that we can do for ourselves that help us to feel better, feel more confident, to make things easier on ourselves, but we shy away because there's an initial outlay or a cost, or it's something that is outside of our budget. And making room for something that's seen as a luxury is something very difficult. Recently, a friend of mine was talking to me about her moisturizer. For some reason, ended up with some samplers of a more premium brand, and she really loved it and it felt amazing and there was a really big difference. And she then went to have a look at how much a proper sized version of that was going to cost her, and just like, oh, it's a lot more. But when she sat and did the math about how much she was actually using of her current product versus how much she used of the more premium product and how good she felt, the difference actually wasn't that much at all. In fact, it was probably even better value, but the upfront cost was much higher than she was used to. So that initially put her off until she realized that when you did the math, it worked out really well. And that's because she was using so much more to get the same effect, the same feeling of hydration and softness from her current product. She's now since got me on the same brand, and I absolutely love. But it's one of those things where, again, there is no way that I would have made that switch if a friend of mine hadn't convinced me that it was worth it for myself, and that actually the overall cost over a course of 6 months was not that much different. And the more I think about it, the more I wonder how often we do that. Like, what are the things that we put off changing to or buying or getting a service for because we believe or we perceive the cost to be much greater, but we haven't done the math correctly. Moisturizer, it's fairly easy. You go, how much does it cost? How much is in a tub? And how much do you require each day? So you can do that calculation fairly simply. When it's things that don't have quite the same kind of conversion, it becomes a lot more difficult. But yeah, so that's an interesting thought for the day, I think, around spending and what is worth it. So for me, when I went in, my hair was awful. It was very dry on the bottom, very oily on the top, and also flaky. And I was like, I don't understand how I'm managing to tick all of the boxes. It was because I hadn't actually washed it in a while. And I just didn't prioritize myself. Self-care and prioritization of self-care is something we need to talk about in a different video. But for now, point being, it was very, very bad. And now it is soft and luscious and beautiful in as much as it can be, given that I'm bleaching the hell out of it trying to get it silver. Maybe it was worth it. To be determined as to how long it feels like this for. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you might feel the same way on, if there's anything that you might struggle to initially justify from a spending or an expenditure perspective, and then decide afterwards that it was actually worth it. Feel free to like if you liked this video, subscribe if you would like to see more, and I will see you in the next one.